It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Tuesday, October 17th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Provi in the media, the practical word study, and of course, commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Tuesday. Monday's officially over. We're in the meat of the week. So also, don't forget that we have a Q&A every Thursday, so to get those questions ready and shoot them my way. If you haven't yet, leave a like, leave a like or a comment, build our community. Super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive, so let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is The Work That the Holy Spirit Should Do and the Work That I Should Do, the work that the Trinity and the Lord should do, and the work that we should do, and great, powerful, hungry message this week. All right, guys, it is Tuesday. I am so happy. I'm not sure why I am so happy, but I think this is still, the remnants of the October 15th prayer meeting. I'm really happy and excited about it. It's a wonderful Tuesday. Super thankful all of you joining us here. A lot of things to go over in today's podcast and a lot of things for us to think about, especially after such an amazing Sunday message and the worldwide prayer meeting we had on Sunday too. I'm sure there's going to be more of these protests or these prayer meetings. I hope that when I'm there in Korea, there's going to be some more protests for me to join. Well, not protests. It could be a prayer meeting, right? And I'm thinking, oh gosh. Like I told you guys before, the one thing that I hate cold weather. I hate cold weather so much. And they're already telling me it's like 10 degrees in Korea. I'm like, oh, it's too cold. And I haven't been in a cold weather country in so long. I don't have any cold weather clothing. As crazy as that, I don't have any cold weather. Like, I'm not sure what I'm going to wear. I'm going to be stuck in my room. I don't know if I can even go out to go hiking. I don't know. I'm just being a baby right now, but I'm just like, honest. This is my honest feeling right now. I am going to go to Korea, stay in Warmington for a couple of weeks, and when it gets too cold, I'm going to fly down to Southeast Asia. Like maybe for a month or two, just to get away from the cold before I go back to Korea. I'm thinking of like this is my just some of the thoughts in my head. Is first I'm going to fly down to Taiwan. Because Taiwan is definitely not as cold, like nothing close to Korea. And then after Taiwan, I'll fly down to, maybe go back to Malaysia, visit Singapore, or go to Thailand, or something along that line. I got my cousin in Thailand, stuff like that too. But I'll go to Southeast Asia, and then from there, I'll go down to Australia. Because I have a cousin, and my cousin lives in Brisbane. So I'm thinking maybe I'll fly down over there. And then when things get a little bit better, I will fly back up to Korea and enjoy it more when the springtime comes. Because, like I said, guys, I hate cold weather. I really, I'm from Canada. People are like going, you're such a baby. I'm like, yes, I am a baby with cold weather because, I'd rather be in scorching hot humidity. I'd rather be like Southeast Asia. It fits me, right? But I'd rather be there in cold weather. Cold weather is just too much for me. I can't. I just can't do it. Well, I can do it, but okay. Yeah, I can do it. I can. I'm trying to convince myself, okay? Maybe if I have a latte every three hours, I'll be okay with that. But I'm not sure. But either way, that's just some of the thoughts in my head. And it's only the jitters. Before going to another country, you got jitters. You're a little bit anxious and nervous before going there. So yeah, that's just the whole reason that I'm thinking this way. But yeah, that's just kind of in my mind. Today I was exhausted. Okay, for me it's Monday, right? Still, it's still Monday for me. It's Tuesday for you guys over there when I'm recording this, right? But I was exhausted this morning, and after pre-dawn, so tired, went to sleep again, and I didn't even wake up till really late. I slept for like an extra 3 hours, right? I was so tired that I woke up late, and right now at this moment, I am doing this podcast with only an hour and 20 minutes before I have to schedule it. So I'm really, really late right now. So, but I was thinking about why I was so tired, but I think It's because of all the stuff that happened on Sunday. Like everything happened, it was the accumulation, especially us in the Western countries. I know that in Korea and Asian countries, they went early, right? So they had their service on like Friday or something along that line, or Saturday, and then they joined the big prayer meeting the next day, right? However, like for us in Western countries, we didn't have that, right? So we had the October 15th prayer meeting, and that for us was like 10 p.m. to about 12:30, 12:45 a.m. Okay? I got home, went to sleep around 1:30. Well, it must have been like at least 1:30-ish, right? And then I wake up in the morning because I have to prepare for the podcast. So I woke up and I'm already out at the cafe by 7 a.m. working on the podcast. Then I went to the Sunday service, and the Sunday service was hungry message, right? Super hungry message. The day is just kicking off. Then after that, I do my podcast. After I go play, like, I played sports, or not sports. We played ping pong. That's not a sport, but is it a sport? I don't know. For me, I just don't consider it sport from the Western perspective. Like ping pong, badminton, in my perspective from a Western country, is not a real sport. However, I did try badminton, and it's very, very difficult. But like I said, when I think about sports, I think about pro football. I think about soccer. I think about hockey. I think about baseball, like those things as sports. But, that's just coming from a very, very Western point of view. But I played ping pong, and then I went out with my parents to eat. I was just exhausted by the night. I was just exhausted. And this morning, I think it's just a combination of all these things just so taxing over the weekend. And of course, on top of it, it wasn't just doing those things. Like the October 15th event was very spiritually powerful. A lot of energy went into it. A lot of energy went into the Sunday message, trying to stay awake and stuff like that too. So I think that's kind of the reason why, maybe an accumulation of sleep debt plus old age. Something along that line, I'm thinking. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on all the why I was so exhausted this morning. Oh, interesting comment that popped up yesterday about the slander and accusations. Okay, and this came up. It's like, why do people go so far to take people out of Providence instead of just leaving quietly? Like, why do they go that far? And I find that as a very, very interesting question. And I've thought about this many times because, when we're like, in the past, there were people who were doing these types of things, but in a very, very small scale. And interestingly enough, I would talk to the very people who tried to, who are taking people out. And we have this conversation like we would never do that kind of thing, right? That we would just leave quietly. There's no point of like trying to take people out. It's a personal decision, right? But, well, there's a lot of different things we talked about. But why do people go so far? Like, why would they go so far to like spread rumors and tell people quietly behind the scenes if it's like really, really something that, that's that important, like be a little bit more open about or whatever it is, right? And I think there's many reasons why people would go this far. I do. And one of the reasons, and I think everyone needs to accept this reason too. Everyone needs to accept the reason that some people truly, deeply believe with all their heart that it's true. And that's why they really don't want others to suffer, right? And, that's one of like hundreds of reasons, but we can't deny that someone may have this type of sincere heart. True, right? Like you can't say that, oh, they're not, no, we can't tell people what they're actually thinking. And some people actually have this belief, and I understand that. I totally do. But the thing for me that's very peculiar is they're going about a very extreme way because I would say that the vast majority, like the vast majority of people that are doing this, right? Like going out, either like spreading rumors, and I'm just going to say they're rumors because they haven't been proven true. So it's still a rumor, right? Spreading rumors, accusations, all of the different things. But the very people that are doing it right now, the one thing that makes it very peculiar to me is that they're not even 100% sure that what they believe is true. They just believe it, but they don't know it's true. But they believe it. There's two completely different things, right? You can believe in something, but it may not be true, right? That's true. And can they prove that it's true, like what they believe is true? And the answer is they can't. The only thing that they can actually believe in is the person's testimony that at this moment, even when we see the trial, there is no credible evidence. So this is why it kind of shocks me, right? I can understand and I can I can understand that, yeah, some people truly believe what is happening is true, that what Sunseam is good. That's something I cannot fault or say that someone is wrong for that. And people can believe whatever they want. The only part that's really peculiar to me is, even though it's not proven, even though it's something that they can't even prove themselves, but to go that far in trying to pull people out without evidence that isn't even proven. Example is, the people that try to pull me out is going to say, oh, the Netflix audio. And this was well before it was like audio forensics came out. They said they tested it themselves, kind of thing, right? So for me, it's just like, here you are trying to prove something that hasn't even gone through forensics. Like, why would you use that? Like, that's what is way more peculiar to me. It makes more sense to me. And this would be something that I would be much more understanding of, is that if they started acting like how they are for the last 10 months, after the evidence is, presented and true. Do you know what I mean? Like, after all the things finally come out, and then there's like a certain point you're like, okay, there is a high probability that this could be true. Right now, like when they were telling me about the audio, that's like last year, December or beginning January. That's like 10 months ago, where it was just something that eventually came out in the Netflix documentary, right? And even that wasn't, just because it comes out in a documentary doesn't make it true, right? So for me is, if the evidence came out, it's proven to be true, not edited, not manipulated, and there's more reason, like it's more reasonable to say there's a high probability it's true, then that is something that is more reasonable and rational to me to say, yeah, okay, now I see why they're actually doing it this way. Like, that's just, that's why it's so peculiar to me. It really is. Because nothing was proven, everything was hearsay, everything is just believing in what someone is saying, and that's it. Right? Like, even for me, when they're talking about someone, they're saying, oh, there was a minor. Even for me, it's just like, it's hard to just 100% say, okay, I'm going to 100% trust in you. You can't. So not something this important, right? Where someone's life, right? Their life in jail, right? Their life, like, as a spiritual history. Like, that's something that has to be so true. Like, so, like, there's a video or there's pictures or there's something that we're like, oh my goodness, right? But, now that we've gotten to this point 10 months later, I find it very, so difficult now to believe that these people's intentions were were true. These intentions were honest intentions. I find that very hard now after seeing all the evidence come out. And what I'm saying is, like I said a week ago, if they're telling me that the audio is true and then the forensics comes out and says it's not true, for them to have that true motive to really be there to find out the truth, I would expect an apology, or I would expect them to change their stance. But like I said, just over the weekend, I find out that they're still talking to people, right? Not even with evidence of Netflix anymore. It's just their personal, I had anxiety or whatever. It's for me, that's that's really odd for me. And that's why for me, so I think about the psychology behind it. I think about what is reasonable and what is rational. And a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is not reasonable and is not rational. I look at it can you really do that? Wow, it's very, very shocking to me. But like I said, I understand if someone believes it, but they don't know it's true. So that's why I was how far would someone go? And that's something that I'd be yeah. And that's why I like the comment, because it's something that makes people do a lot of mental exercises in their head. I can believe someone, but to go to the extent of doing something very, very extreme would mean that I either have more evidence, or I am not a reasonable or rational person, or I have bad intentions. right? Like, it would be one of those things. So for me, it's just like, yeah, it's kind of, that's what's really peculiar about it for me. As for the second part is the difference in males and females that accuse. Like there's way more females than males that are accusing and slandering and trying to bring people out, right? And statistically, from what I've seen so far, it is true. So far. Yeah. Like even when I look at the foreign countries, it's like one or two guys and the rest, like, the people that are doing the damage is like 5-6 girls. So it's like for every guy, there's like three girls kind of thing, 3-1 kind of thing. And yeah, definitely more girls that are doing this than guys. And like I said, even with all the people that I know that are actually doing this type of thing, the numbers are far more on the side of females. And I think that's something that's probably like, I'd have to do some research psychologically. Like what's the psychological difference? Like the one thing that I know that I was listening to, like there's a clinical psychiatrist, Jordan Peterson was talking about the difference between the way guys and girls think, and girls are more likely to like spread rumors or accuse or say or try to ruin someone's reputation more than men. And the reason is because men have an outlet, and which is violence, which is interesting, right? So when he talks about violence, he talks about violence in like at multiple levels. Like even American football is violence, right? Even playing some sport that's aggressive is like a lower level of violence, and that's why guys have a physical way of expressing, and it ends there. And guys do that. Sometimes we'll fight with each other after it, we're done, and life goes on, kind of thing, right? So when I look at this, I'm like, yeah, that's interesting, right? But they say women are not as like physical and violent. So the only way that the easier way for them to do it is to accuse, is to ruin someone's reputation, is to do it in that sort of way, right? And that's like that brings like that type of psychology up to me. But we have to look at this in a very reasonable way, as in, females out there listening to this, I'm not taking a shot at you. And the person who wrote the comment is not taking a shot at men and women saying, oh, why are there more females accusing sensitive? Oh, there's something wrong with women. It's nothing to do with that. It's all about the psychology behind it. Why women are more likely doing this than men, right? We're just kind of looking at the facts surrounding what is happening and what has happened in the past when it comes to slander and accusations, right? So personally, like if it's just for me, and it came down to me understanding what was true, what was false. Personally, I would rather move on with my life. I wouldn't want to be stuck in the past and just dealing with this type of stuff. Like if it was me, like I got to leave because I believe it's to be true, but I'm not 100%. Oh, I just leave on my own. I'd rather move on with my life. That's just me. And if possible, if there was, this is the funny part as a guy, and this is kind of what Jordan Peterson was saying was like, yeah, if there was something that was like like I had beef with someone, I'd rather play a sport to decide, or do something like YouTuber boxing matches or something along that line. You know what I mean? Like that's something that I'd look at and say like, yeah, most likely I wouldn't go so far in the direction that these people are going. I would want to move on with my life. I don't want to bother with this. I want to, still live my life kind of thing. So I'm not sure if, like, that's just my personal opinion, but I'm not sure what other people are thinking about that also. That's just kind of the thoughts that are coming in my head at the moment. But it is an interesting question, is like, why is it like this? Like, why would you go so far in this situation so early? Like, what do you, like, even when I look at the past of when they're talking to me of trying to convince me to get out, the convincing was only things like, talk to this person. Oh, this person believes me, which for me, it doesn't really sway me. Even when they said, oh, AJ believes us, AJ's on our side, for me, I was just like, all right. Well, I want to hear it directly from their lips. I don't want to hear it from your lips, kind of thing, right? I'm not going to believe you just because you said that. Anyone can say that, oh, Sunseem's on my side. We've seen it happen all the time. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's just a little much for me. It really is. And kind of like in this week's Sunday message, these people are going to have a hard time coming back after you just messed up many people's lives, right? You took out the weak people, weak, not meaning weak, like weak spiritually, meaning they're still growing. Like I said, talked about yesterday, they're still growing up in faith. They need some, like a spiritual, like in a regular baby, you need someone to help you to live in the beginning, and then you're able to grow on your own, kind of thing. And they're going to have to pay the price for it, right? They are. And I don't think that they're going to be able to. I think it's going to make it really, really hard for people to come back after they do like stuff really, really extreme. They've almost basically they shot themselves in the foot, giving them no room to come back. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a tough thing even for me to think about, because I really care and love these people too. At the same time, even though they're attacking, Sunsim and this history, I still love them. I still care for them too, and I don't want to see them to go to any bad spiritual place, especially after listening to the Sunday message, right? It's sad because we don't want them to be there. It's sad because they didn't have to be there either, right? So, yeah, I think it's something that we all have to kind of think about and look at together too. Yeah. So yeah, those are it's a very, very interesting question. I thought it was something that a lot of us can really think about, do some mental exercises and realize like, yeah, I never thought about it this way, but yeah, why would you go so extreme? But if we think about this a little bit more deeply, we kind of get a better understanding and understanding ourselves too, that, yeah, but it is possible that these types of things happen. They happen all the time. All right. So yeah. Today we have Provi in the media. I'm really excited about this because we're going to go over some of the articles that were written about the prayer meeting for the world, for world peace, I guess. That's coming out all over Korea. I think there's been over like 20 articles on this already written. Like, how could you ignore something this big? The news outlets were all out there, and I was super excited just to see some of the. I'm going to read about 2 articles out there, but it's very interesting just to see it coming out, that we're coming out in the news, we're coming out together, united as one. Like, this is kind of the thing that I think Sunsim was saying that we should have done from the very beginning. We should have been like this from the beginning. We should have stood out. We should have been out on the streets. We should have been protesting and stuff like that too. But since there was no one doing this, basically those that were corrupt can do whatever they want, kind of thing. But yeah, I can't wait for the Provi in the media. There's a lot of things to talk about there too. Right? And, just before we get into the practical word study right after this, let's go into the first break of the day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
Put your hands in the sky if you feel alive. All the stories that we made, just you and I. Never losing all the passion. All this love is my obsession. Oh my gosh, this feeling got me heat stroke. His love like a billion pots about to heat though. I ain't never breaking from this bond, cause you and I are only one. If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? Who you with? If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? You with? You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day. Together with the Lord, I'm living my best life. Don't worry about a thing, it's only some in life. We sing about memory stories that we share. We'll fall deeper in love as we stop and just stare. My eyes only on you, they sparkle with love. Don't forget my charm too. There will never be another. Live this life only for you. I give you this promise that I will hold true. If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? Who you with? If you ain't living with the Lord, then who you with? You with? You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord every day, all day. You 함께 together with the Lord all day, all day.
We believe in the same God, but we are on different levels.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And every Tuesday we have the practical word study. Hope you guys are looking forward to this. How can we put this week's message into action? And there's just so many points coming from this week's Sunday message. Like I said, it's a super hungry message. I haven't experienced, we haven't had a long message like this in a very, very long time. Well, we did have one maybe a month ago, didn't we? maybe around that time. But what made it, I'm gonna be super transparent about this. That what made it longer was because we had that long night before listening to. We were joining the live broadcast for the prayer meeting event, right? So that's why. That's why it felt a little bit longer than usual too, right? So let's get into this week's practical word study. I'm going to go over 2 key points that I thought that was really, really important for all of us to do in a practical way, right? And one of the first key points was as you go through the works, as you go through life, as you start doing things and even bigger things like God's will, there's going to be difficulties and tribulations, but you got to get the work done. Right? And especially at the end of that point, it talked about do your missions. Your mission is your work. Get it done, right? And if it's big or great work like God's history, right, then as these tribulations and difficulties, they're going to come. It's going to be part of the job. That what we have to do our missions. Right? And this is something that is utmost important for our churches to survive. Like, for instance, one of the reasons why churches are going to struggle is because a lot of people stop doing their missions because they're, oh my gosh, what's happening in Providence? And people are going left and right. People need to be taken care of. And then all of a sudden, like, a lot of the things in the church doesn't get done. We don't do our missions. But what the part of the message I liked is like, hey, these things are going to happen. Right? If we're on God's side, don't you think Satan's going to be the one that's going to attack also? Right? So these things are going to happen. Difficulties are going to come. But we got to do our missions, right? We got to do what we're supposed to do. And this kind of answers the question that many people had in the very beginning when all this started is, oh, can we continue to do our missions when all this craziness is going on? Is it still possible to go out and evangelize? And the answer is absolutely, right? And I'm going to say this, especially being a leader myself, especially leaders, we have to be at that point when there's more tribulation, we have to be even more involved at that time. That's basically what a leader is. A leader chooses to take the responsibility to lead the people out of the dark times, lead them when there's confusion. And they're like, this is the 2 words I say all the time. That's why in the comments in the YouTube, they call me the reasonable and rational man, right? It's like, we have to be that reasonable and rational leader that people look up to during the difficult times. You're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not as big as I thought, or let's do this properly. And right now, what is the most practical thing that all of us can do? It is do our missions, right? Which means, I would say the first thing you should do right now is list your missions. What missions do you have in the church right now? What is the missions that you have at this moment? Are you a department leader? Are you a team leader? Are you cleaning crew? Are you doing audio and video? Are you doing praise, choir? Like, there's a lot of different things that we are doing. Right? Like, here's the thing that doesn't make sense to me is when difficult times happen, do you quit work? Do you stop working? And the answer is no, you continue with your work. You got to make your money, right? In the same way, faith is even more important. And when the difficult times comes, you don't stop your faith. You continue, you double down and you do even more. So what I'll tell you, one of the most practical things you can do right now is list down your missions and get your heart back to where it was before, even better than it was before. Like, let me tell you something that's really shocking that you guys, we have to understand is, do you know that in the former faith, people line up for missions in church? There's a lineup for it. People have signed up. They're waiting their turn. And guess what? They don't even call it a mission. They call it serving. Hey, are you serving? It's a much different way of looking at things more than is a mission more like a job or an obligation, right? These people in the former faith, they cannot wait to serve God. They have a waiting list for people to help in the church in any way, even as an usher. An usher, that is serving God. They are participating in God's history. Right? And if you think about most Providence churches, I don't even see ushers or a welcoming team. But people are lining up for that in the former faith. And if you think about it, we're not children of God. We're supposed to be brides, which should be even better. Not thinking about how early we need to wake up to be an usher at church. Not thinking about, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to do praise practice. Oh, I don't want to go to choir, right? Not preparing and not doing practice, right, is a sign that you look at praise or choir or cleaning or any of the things that you're doing for church as a job or obligation, not as something that you want to participate in God's history. Like even for me, when I was growing up, I had a strong education on Sunday services, very, very strong, right? And it kind of reminding me right now where my heart has to go back to, right? Sunday service is supposed to be a celebration. It's not a service, it's a celebration. It's supposed to be the greatest event of the week, giving glory to God, praising God, loving God. It's not something that we should do as a weekly thing. It should be a celebration we prepare for each and every week, right? Like, what I found was so amazing was, after the October 15th, the next morning, which is several hours, you sleep and then you have to wake up, go to church for Sunday service. Man, that service was fiery. The praise was fiery. I loved it. People were really praising with all their hearts, right? And like, that's the way it should be. We should be praising God. Like Sunday service isn't a thing where you can't, I can't wait until it finishes. And then I look more forward to meeting people afterwards or playing sports, right? Sunday service, it is the Sunday. It is it's about Sunday service it makes all of Sunday. And this is how our hearts have to change towards our missions too. It's not a job. It's not an obligation. Because once you start thinking about it as a job and obligation, your heart leaves and people can't see the joy. They can't feel the joy. They can't feel that someone is really, really here because they love God that much, right? It's beyond all these things. Think of it like this. Think of it think about it as like we're in the bride history. Think about it as your wedding. Do you want a normal or mediocre wedding, or do you want something amazing? People want that wedding is like, wow, it's an amazing, I want this more than anything else. And think about each week as a life. And all the things that happen the week are moving towards that wedding day, right? So I hope that all of us list down your missions, right? Pray about it. What are the things you got to get back? Where's your heart? Where's the heart you originally had to get back into your missions, right? And when you look at this week's Sunday message, Sunsteam said that 2023 is the year we get out of suffering. That's the year we get out of it, which means that spend the remaining time of this year, these 75 days, in absolute joy and love, and make sure that when it ends and the suffering is finally complete, we get blessed, we have no regrets, right? Like, it reminds me of this story I saw on YouTube. And there's this a father. And this father is talking about an experience he had with his children. He has 3 children, right? And his father went to the army. He's very, very hard-nosed. He does construction job, comes back from work, from a hard day at work. And when he got home, he sees his 2 youngest kids basically making a complete mess in the kitchen. And he's just got back from a hard day of work, got upset, yelled at his kids, told them to go to their rooms, right? Later, his eldest daughter came in and said to his father that he did something wrong. And he's like, honey, what did I do wrong? And the eldest daughter was 13, and she's sticking up for her 2 younger siblings. And what she said was the 2 youngest children wanted to bake their father something so that they could surprise him when he got home from a hard day's work. But when he got home, and they even got permission from the mom, but instead the father yelled at them and told them to go to their rooms. And now they're just too afraid to tell their father that they did this for him because he was mad, right? So think about it. In the end, he got his cake. He got that cake that his children made for him to make him happy. But he couldn't enjoy it, right? He couldn't enjoy it because of how he reacted, right? And we have to understand is we need to enjoy the blessings in the end, right? But we're not going to enjoy it fully if right now we are complaining, if we're stopping everything we do, if we're not doing our missions with that joy and happiness, if we're not running together with God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and the man of mission, right? We need to be in this where, God is going through this difficulty together with us, and we need to hold hands together with the Trinity, hold hands together with Jesus, hold hands together with Sunsteam, look at each other And at the very, very end, when everything ends, we're smiling, looking at each other and saying, we did it. We did it together. We made it together. And I think that's something that I hope that all of us can say to God at the end of 2023. Not of the, oh, thank God I was hiding. Like, oh, and I couldn't do anything. But God, thank you so much that it's finally over. Right? Where God was the one who's just sitting there. Like in your life, he was doing all the work and you did nothing. Right? We don't want to be in that situation. We want to be in it where we're holding hands together with God. And when it all ends, we're like, man, we did it. We did it together. Like that's the place we want to be. So I hope that can be the first practical thing that we can do, is to do this together with the Lord, right? Put a smile on your face. It's not a good situation for him either. It's a difficult situation all around, but we have to be those that can do these things together and say, yeah, we did it. We really did it together. And we can smile and enjoy the blessings together too. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing point that I really liked from the Sunday message was about counting your costs, right? Like don't wait to the end of your life to figure out what you should have done, right? Don't wait to the end of your life, because at that point you have no time to do it before you start your life kind of thing, right? Or before you start. So, one of the points it was making in the message was people are so focused on physical things, and a lot of people in Providence too are very, very focused on the physical things that end up in emptiness and meaninglessness, right? He's like, the thing that shocked me the most from the message was all these physical things that happen in your life here, you will not remember them. The joy of these things, you will not remember when you go to the spiritual world. You're not going to remember them. And I think we need to understand about this too, about ourselves in this history. Are we too focused on the physical things, thinking about I need this physical thing, I need this physical thing kind of thing, right? And I think we need to understand about this really well, about ourselves, right? We can't I think one of the biggest detriments we have in our life right now is living in automatic mode, right? We're basically reacting to things that happen. It's like, oh, yeah, time to go to work. Oh, time to go eat. Oh, time to do this, right? Okay, time to go home. Oh yeah, today's service. Oh, today we have a meeting. Oh, today we have this, right? So things just kind of creep up on us and we cancel here and there. Right? We just go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays, and some of us don't even go to church on those days, right? And we're kind of just following a program, reacting to it. It's like a schedule that kind of pops up. You're like, oh yeah, I have this, I have that. But what Sunseem's talking about is like, you got to plan, you got to know what you want to do before your life starts. Do it at the end. There's no time. You'll realize what is the right thing to do, but at that time you're like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that kind of thing, right? And what I'm telling you guys right now is, this is when you kind of miniaturize what that means is take it down to the pre-dawn. In the pre-dawn, why is the pre-dawn so important? Right? It's not only about just communicating with God, it's how you start your day. And one of the things that we need to do, and a practical thing we could do right now, is make sure you plan your day well. What is happening that day? What are the major things that we have to plan? I'm not saying plan every minute of the day, but there are some major things that you need to do. Today I have this. Today I'm sitting in on a lesson. Today I am meeting this person here. Like there are a lot of things that we have going on in our days. What is happening in that day? Make sure the day is planned well, right? The physical things, write them down. And then on top of it, what are the spiritual things? And if we don't want to be those that are focusing too much on those physical things that lead to emptiness and meaninglessness, things that we're not going to remember anyways, we have to schedule our spiritual things too, right? Sometimes, too many times we leave our schedules with nothing in it. We don't know exactly what we're doing that day, right? That is one of those, oh, something came up. All right, let me decide when it comes up, which is not a wise way to do things. So what is your spiritual schedule? Do you have some conditions you need to do, right? Like, hey, I'm at work and my work is very, very physical. What do I need to do, right? To set some, what kind of condition can I set at work? For instance, at your 15-minute coffee break, go pray in the bathroom, whatever it is, or pull up some of the Proverbs. At the pre-dawn, pull up 1 or 2 Proverbs you really, really like that you want to think about and during your breaks and stuff like that, right? Is there some type of condition you're setting where you're praying 2-3 times a day, right? Are you praying at certain times? Any spiritual things that you can join? right? Like these are all things like, oh yeah, there's a prayer meeting tonight. Oh, there's someone who's listening to a Bible study I can sit in on. Oh yeah, there's this there's this going on. Like what are the things that you can join that are a little bit more spiritual? Now, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you have to make it one for one. Because already I know that spiritually speaking, we are doing a lot as people in this history, right? With the pre-dawn, with the services. And, like I said, we're basically going to church 9 times a week. If you think about it, 9 times a week. So if that's the case, then we need to think to ourselves is, what is the right balance where I'm not forgetting? And when I'm talking about spiritual things, it's kind of the reminders during the day. Not so much I'm going to spend 30 minutes praying like at 3 p.m. or whatever it is. It's not like that. It's more of, what are the things that can remind me to bring myself back to God? Am I calling upon God more? Should I be calling upon God even more about this? Should I be calling upon God even more about this, right? And these are the things I do think that we can think about carefully. And from the pre-dawn, have that schedule out in front of you, whether it's on your computer, your what do you call that? Your tablet, or an actual physical schedule. Like, have those things written down so you know exactly what is going on, what you need to do. All right. So that is something that I thought would be a very practical thing for us. Don't just like plan out the physical things during the day. In the pre-dawn, after you finish prayer, don't go back to sleep. At least spend 10 minutes just figuring out what you're going to do for that day, the things that you need to do, how you need to be prepared or ready for this or that. You know what I mean? If you have a leaders meeting, I know tons of people who do not prepare for a leaders meeting. For me, that is weird. That you don't that's one of the signs that you're a leader is you're actually preparing for it. But a lot of times people don't prepare. Like they don't have the leadership habits to prepare for things, right? And that is something that I do think a lot of us do need to think about a lot more too, right? So that's kind of like some of the things I want to talk about when it comes to the practical word study. And I hope it's something that can open your guys' minds up a little bit more, like, oh yeah, that is something I should be thinking about. That's something I should be doing too. All right? So there it is, guys. That is the practical word study for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, which means let's move into the second break of the day. Okay, so let's move into the final segment for today's Tuesday podcast. And every Tuesday we have Provi in the media. What is going on around the world when it comes to Providence in the news? And of course, we all know what's going down. It is the October 15th, what is it? The worldwide prayer meeting for the world and the nation for peace kind of thing, right? And this was super amazing, exciting for all of us to be a part of. I hope you guys joined live. It was amazing just to see that many people stand up for this history. So let's get into this, right? This is something that I looked at, I was like, wow, this is even bigger than the August 20th one. August 20th one was like 20,000 people around there, something like that, right? This one was crazy. Oh my gosh. I was just like, oh, it was like, when you look at the pictures, you just had 7 lanes filled up with people for like a kilometer straight. Like the crazy, remember when they did the wave at the end? I was like, wow, like this wave itself is going to take like a minute and a half just to get through all those people. Next time we got to do it in a stadium. That would be cool. Like doing it in a stadium would be awesome. However, it would kind of go against what a protest is. And then, you want to do it in front of like, in those places like Yeouido Square, which was super meaningful because that's where the Sunsim was talking about doing the Easter services with like 1.5 million people and stuff like that too. But a couple of articles I thought were very, very important. Let's take a look at this first article. And yeah, there's 20 articles, guys, and I bet you more will come out too. And the title for this one is CGM successfully concludes National Salvation Prayer Meeting for National and World Peace in Seoul. So let's get into the article. It says, CGM held the 2023 National Salvation Prayer Meeting for Harmony and Peace for the people and the world, with a total of 200,000 people, according to estimates, including 2,000 overseas members participating at 2 p.m. on the 15th at Yeouido Square in Seoul. Okay, so the estimates were anywhere from 100,000 to 200,000 people, which is awesome. The event was broadcast live online so that members from 73 countries around the world could access it simultaneously. Sunsim's youngest brother, Jung Yong-seok, co-representative of the mission, said the Christian Gospel Mission was founded by Sunsim when he preached the gospel on June 1st, 1978, and has been spreading the gospel in Korea and around the world for the past 45 years. As of 2023, there are about 200 churches in Korea and 73 countries around the world. It was established and has grown into a global missionary organization with hundreds of thousands of people practicing faith, he explained. He continued, I took the time to earnestly pray to the Holy Trinity today with the hope that the horrors of war and the pain caused by disasters around the world will disappear. Then the CEO of the Missionary Church Member Council, Kwak Dong-won, which hosted the event, said, this prayer meeting was held as a prayer meeting for the people and the world. Unlike the meetings that have complained about the injustice of Sunsim, I hope this will be an opportunity to catch it, he said. So Jung Yong-seok, Sunsim's youngest brother, co-representative of the mission, said, CGM, I'm just repeating this thing. So the prayer meeting this day was held in 3 different parts. So part 1, so this is the article explaining all the things that happened. Part 1, prayer for world peace and harmony. And the pastor at that time said the world is suffering from the threat of war, the Hamas invasion of Israel, the war in Ukraine, concerns about Chinese invasion of Taiwan, and a lot of damage has been caused by abnormal weather. All of these, he said, let us pray to God so that true world peace can be achieved without lives being harmed by threats. Part 2, for prayer for the nation, the pastor spoke up and said North Korea's continued war atmosphere, political disputes, economic recession, damage from fake news, and various social crimes are causing the Republic of Korea to lose hope. And the pastor said, I pray earnestly for God. It is time to find out. Let us pray earnestly for our country and people. Right? And then in part 3, the article says prayer for the mission. So Jung Ra-mi, co-representative of the mission, highlighted Pastor or Sunsim's injustice, and he said Sun Sim preached the word of God as the body of Jesus and participated in the Vietnam War twice, fighting to save people by capturing prisoners. He appealed to heaven for the injustice of the pastor who lived only as the body of God and Jesus. Let's do it. And then everyone prayed together. And of course, if you were there, it was amazing, right? What happened during the times of prayer. And then official from the Church Members Council urged the government, right? Please cite the request for recusal so that Sun Sim can receive a fair trial in accordance with the principles of presumption of innocence and evidence first. So, and then the article goes into currently Sun Sim is also being tried on charges including quasi-rape in the trial that has been going on so far. And Sun Sim's side filed a motion to recuse himself from the judge last July, claiming that he was not receiving a fair trial due to the court's prejudicial remarks and violation of the right to cross-examination. It was not accepted in the second trial, so he appealed again, going to the Supreme Court. So that was like the first article, which is great. And like I said, this is like one of 20 different articles. The second article I thought was quite interesting because the title is something that I think that we didn't really think about a lot, but I did talk about it yesterday, was the title is Concerns about a decline in national prestige and international embarrassment. Large numbers of overseas believers attend JMS meetings, right? So some of the articles talking about multiple informants residing in Taiwan said many members from Taiwan also left for Korea for this rally, and a person known as a Taiwanese JMS pastor posted on his Instagram, "We will attend the rally to protest for the acquittal of Sun Sim." He also posted, "I'm going to Wonmyeong too." In particular, Japanese JMS believers who attended the rally recited a prayer appeal and said Sun Sim is being punished through the fake documentary broadcast full of lies and distortions on Netflix's I Am God and the media that witch hunts with unverified and unconfirmed false news reports. The pastor's honor and our lives have been completely trampled, he claimed, right? And then also another Taiwan's JMS believer, another one of I think these are the three guys that spoke up at the beginning, emphasized, for those of us who want to live the most chaste and pure life, this world is putting the most promiscuous sexual frame on us, and emphasized through this rally, Sun Sim shows that it still has enough influence to unite its members around the world, and also adding, we urge judicial authorities to quickly enforce the law. Meanwhile, so this, remember, it's still in the article. Meanwhile, Jung Yong-suk, we had talked about him already, Sun Sim's youngest brother, attended the rally and said in his opening speech, "For the past 45 years, we've been realizing God's will for human salvation in the global community." And then he talked about the 200 churches, 73 countries around the world. It has grown into a global ministry of people living a religious life of faith, right? So that I found to be a very, very interesting one because, like, it's Korea who has such an amazing an amazing reputation because of like K-pop, K-dramas, beautiful people, beautiful culture, food, all these other different things. But now the title is Concerns about a Decline in National Prestige and International Embarrassment. And that's the thing that I think that we need to kind of open people's eyes up to, is like, if we open the international community up to this, one thing about Asian culture is saving face. You know what I mean? They want to save face. They don't want to be, they don't want to be embarrassed and dishonored in front of others. That's the last thing they want. And this is why a lot of these people, like, say in Japanese culture, they'll even perform something where they kill themselves so that they will be they will leave in honor, saving face, right? That's how big saving face is in Asian culture. And they don't want all of a sudden this news going around that there is this unfair, unjust trial, and the way that they treat people in their country is that bad, right? So when I saw this title, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I talked about on Monday. And when you see this many people coming from Japan and Taiwan, like 2,000 people from foreign countries all coming to Korea just for this, it's going to open their eyes and they're going to say, whoa, okay, this is something we really, really need to think about. Because if we don't, then we're going to have, there's going to be a decline in prestige and embarrassment in the international community, right? So I'm even hoping in the future that I can that I can interview Massimo Introvigne. I really want to interview him, right? About all the things, all the injustices in religion that happen and why people should not just believe all the things that are happening in the news. And he's like someone who's got this PhD and everything else in it. So that's something that I hope I can do in the future also, so that people will their eyes will be open to these types of things. All right. So there it is, guys. That is Provi in the media. Hope it's something that helps you guys out, especially when it comes to praying for the situation too, that internationally, like, hey, if it comes down to it, international embarrassment, if that's going to be the thing that kind of opens their eyes to doing things in the right way, then so be it, kind of thing, right? All right. So that is it, guys. That is today's Tuesday podcast. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed it, just as I have. Hope you guys have an amazing and awesome Tuesday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.